may kindly take your seats. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to you on this very auspicious occasion of the official opening of the University of South Africa's academic year 2025. I'm not sure about you, but it's a great time to be alive, they say, alive in 2025. And so we are looking forward to an exciting opening that will chart the course for our adventures in higher education in the year 2025. Friends, the theme of our ceremony remains reclaiming Africa's intellectual futures into the next 150 years and beyond. And we are doing this with all the verve and the vigor you can imagine. Special guests, students, graduates, colleagues, with the hundreds of thousands of students across the land, the continent, and the world. Over 1 million alumni at Unisa. Our service to higher education and nation building is simply incomparable. Embedded in our action is the will to serve our students, and in doing so, serve our nation and our world. As the largest university on the continent and one of the largest in the world, we realize that the rise of the African continent is contingent upon the complex mental labors of Unisa students, scholars, scientists, and innovators. Collectively, as Unisans, we channel our professional and intellectual efforts to have a transformative effect on people, places, products, policies, and disciplines, systems, and structures. We fully grasp the enormity of the task ahead of us, preparing the thinking, constructive, and critical citizenry for the renaissance of our continent and our world. We concur with the former president of Tanzania, Benjamin Mkapa, that our universities must produce the men and women willing to fight the intellectual battle for self-confidence and self-assertion as equal players in this new emerging global order. The university is indeed the strategic agency for the betterment of society. The university has been one of the most successful and long-lasting institutional forms devised by humans. The university, I contend, is the temple of the highest knowledge and science, which should be protected and nurtured. Ladies and gentlemen, what an honor it is to be one of 3 program directors taking you through today's program. My name is Genevieve James, and will be followed by Professor Sikwe, our acting Vice Principal, Teaching, Learning, Community Engagement, and Student Support. I trust you will celebrate with us this auspicious opening ceremony, and this morning we are also excited to be joined with our sign language interpreters. With me, we have Miss Nobile, and we also have Miss Nonhlanhla Ndaba. I want to acknowledge all the staff members today joining us from Unisa's regions, as well as our Ethiopian Center. Friends in the ZK Matthews Hall, would you not welcome those joining us online around the country? Make them feel one with us. Our staff at the regions, we celebrate your critical role across the land. Friends, we are also excited that today's opening is going to be broadcasted by none other than the Unisa radio. Let's give them a round of applause. And now, if the excitement of today's opening has taken you aback, please note that the Unisa clinic is stationed just outside, and you can have professional medical support. But really try and hold it in, because we've got the whole year to do the great things and celebrate our achievements. Now, ladies and gentlemen, today we continue to make history. You know, we are living in the time of major historical events, and one of them is that we are under the leadership of the very first woman vice-chancellor of this university for over 150 years. I want to take this moment and breathe in her story that we are currently living in. I would love to look back on this day and say, I lived in this time when the first woman vice-chancellor took the reins at the University of South Africa. And against this backdrop, I want to say that today's ceremony takes place where we acknowledge and celebrate Professor Lenkabula's second term in office. All right, I know this one I shouldn't hold you back. This is Professor Lenkabula's second term in office. It is my honor, together with you, to appreciate our gallant and intrepid principal and vice-chancellor. She is an intellectual and scholar par excellence. She is the person of high distinction and remarkable service orientation. She has earned recognition on the national and international stage and good standing in public service. Her celebrated career and sustained service to the nation has left us a rich legacy which will no doubt endure and give us much to reflect upon and act on in the decades to come. She exemplifies intellectual radiance, management talent, and unreserved dedication throughout the execution of her executive duties. Our Vice-Chancellor leads boldly, ensuring that higher education in South Africa produces the highest quality thinking, scholarship, and solutions that will lead to the authentic development and transformative outcomes that our nation so deeply requires. VC, we celebrate your astute leadership and your commitment to developing and enabling African researchers and intellectuals who will be able to take up the mammoth task of creating and mobilizing knowledge for the significant rethinking and rebuilding ahead of us. Together with the management and the executives and the staff and the students and all employees across the land and around the world who work towards building this great institution, we celebrate you, we honor you, and we thank you for steering Unisa during these times of unprecedented disruption and change. Under your leadership, we hope to create a new heritage and a new identity as an institution that inspires service, quality, integrity, and sustainability. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to call for a momentary pause. You know, before the rush of human energy is poured into 2025, it is very necessary for us to take a pause, to reflect, where have we been, where are we now, and where are we going? it is very necessary to take a necessary pause to reflect on the higher things. And so, to help us do that, we have a series of meditations, starting with Professor Kobe, who is the lecturer at the Department of Christian Spirituality, Church History, and Missiology. She is from the College of Human Sciences, and she will be leading us in our first meditation. Over to you.
The Vice-Chancellor, Prof. Buleng Lengabula, the Deans of Faculties, School Directors, colleagues, students, and friends of Unisa, Ndichikuni Kusasanje, Amagu. Our meditation today is themed Ukuputhuma Ubuntu Betu. This theme is inspired by Abantwana Bomgquba, who our politicians loosely call our people, the sons and daughters of the soil, in the words of Professor Mangaliso Sobukwe, the wretched of the earth, in the words of Frantz Fanon. I am talking about the ones who continue being pariahs, beggars without land in the lands of their ancestors. The ones who cry out because they do not own the lands and the means of productions of their resources. The ones who cry in the dungeons of misery and unimaginable pain and suffering. The ones who in the past weeks have told us on social media that President Donald Trump's sanction to South Africa mean nothing to them because they live in absolute misery. Their ancestors lived in absolute misery. Death and dying is a monster too familiar to them, as they die every day in the streets of South Africa without hope. The ones who are left without choice but to eat and buy food that is meant to kill them. The ones I'm talking about are the ones suffering and the ones who are the suffering and the miserable, who on the 15th of January were told their kids have passed grade 12 by the Minister of Education. But today, most of those kids are already looking for jobs at restaurants owned by people who do not want to pay a decent wage salary. Some of them will end up in farms owned by those who wish to snuff the life out of them. They will work for those who believe that a black child's destiny is to clean, wipe, and cook for their children based on the color of their skin. They will be employed by those who own history books that have told so many lies at times that they believe that Africans have arrived in Africa. I'm talking about the ones who are targeted by a billionaire who has become so brave in his belief of superiority, yet benefit from the land and resources of our ancestors. Zidweshe, nani zidweshekazi. Zinzimbi, nani zimbokodo. Bantwana bomgquba. We must stand firm and teach right about the experiences of our people. We must tell their stories. We must be experts of our own knowledges and our cultures, because that is the only way we reclaim Africa's intellectual futures in the next 150 years. We must write about the ones who refused to die even when the British Empire wanted to exterminate them in the wars of land conquest in the 1800s. In fact, we do not speak about this enough. That, for example, in the Eastern Cape against land conquest, the Maxhosa kingdoms led by Chief Maqoma and others resisted land conquest for about 150 years. We don't speak about this enough. That the children of South Africa, the children of Nzikane, Dugwana, and Kobe died next to the king, Sandile, defending lands of their ancestors for us today. We are the ones who should have perished in history, but the gods, But the African gods refused. They stood still in the coldest frontier wars that we won 8 of those land conquest wars. Like the Palestinian people who experienced the Nakba in 1948, fighting gun and powder for the future of their children. 2, our ancestors, experienced the Nakba, which we term as Ingaule in the Eastern Cape, the great cattle killing that left us destitute, without land nor cattle. Ngalo mazwi ndithi kuni ke zithwalandwe, nina ninxiba imixhaki nifanele, nina nithwaliswe izidanga, kuthiwe kuni ngoku nizingcaphephe, nizinzululwazi, inkcubabuchopho. Khanenzeni kaloku bantwana bomgquba. Ukuba le mfundo ninayo ikwazi ubuyisela umuntu emntwini, kuba kaloku imfundo engakwazi ukubuyisela umuntu emntwini, lo mfundo manene nani manenekazi bubudenge, yimbudede, into engeyonto, ngamampunge, ngamaphupha afileyo. Manene nani manenekazi, bhalani nirhibele ngamasiko ethu, ngesintu sethu, ngomhlaba wethu, kuba kaloku impendulo azikho ngaphambili, impendulo zisembo kwisintu sethu. Bhalani ke ngamanina, oomama uNontetha, oomama uMadikizela-Mandela, xelelani abantwana ngootata uSobukwe nootata uBantu Biko, nime emaxhantini nixelela abantwana ngengqumbo yeminyanya ebhalwe ngu-AC Jordan. Thethani ngayo uQueen Mojaji kumkanikazi eyayinethisa imvula. Oh, ningamlibali uEskia Mphahlele esixelela ngePretoria. Buzani bantakwethu nakosiyazi ukuba niyoyisakala, sozo siyazi banganixeleli ngeSoweto uprising nangeMarikana mine workers. Ngalo mazimzo akwantu ndithi wanguqamatha wokhokho bethu umvelinqanga uRamasedi umudimo angathi chungcembe nakulo unyaka aqaqamba phe Unisa. Ningayazi nokuba nifunde nade nayityibela na imfundo, izinyanya zenu nokhokho benu bahamba nani. Ndasuke ndegam ndencinceleleni.
As we continue to meditate on those words, thoughts, and ideas, I'd like to now request Dr. S. Ahmed, the Senior Lecturer at the Department of Religious Studies, to deliver the second meditation.
I'd like to begin by greeting everyone, specifically the Vice Chancellor and Principal, all other school directors, heads of departments, all other academics, students, and anyone else associated and affiliated with Unisa, directly or indirectly. Greet you with a greeting of peace, blessings, mercy for yourselves and for your family. Now, I don't have so much of a prepared speech, rather, and I was said this is moments of meditation, but I prefer to call it moments of reflection, something that we need to reflect right at the beginning of the year. And because I'm coming from the Arabic and Religious Studies Department, I thought I'll say and mention certain things in Arabic, more so since Arabic is probably, many of you may not know, the majority of Arabic speakers in the world are actually on the African continent. And the first university in the world and the oldest in the world is actually in Africa. So we have a lot to be proud of. So going back to that legacy, I will start off by mentioning certain things in Arabic, more specifically from the Quran, and then I'll translate it. And we can reflect on those meanings, and if we do so, we'll see it makes a major difference in the way we conduct ourselves in the university, as well as within our society, given the challenges we face in our country, as well as on our continent, as well as globally. Challenges of various nature, be it politically, economically, in the field of education, anything else, humanitarian problems, everything else. If we just take out a few moments And those of you who play basketball, you know about time out. Take out a little time and just reflect. And that's all we need to do, reflect and internalize the meanings, and we'll see a major difference in the way we approach this year going forward and the rest of our lives. So there's just 3 verses in Arabic, and I'll translate it thereafter. So the first one begins by saying, Ya ayyuhan nas, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha, wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qabaila lita'arafu, inna akramakum 'inda Allahi atqakum. The first verse says, O mankind, O people, I have created you from a single male and female, and we have made you into nations and tribes, so that you may get to know one another. And indeed, the most honorable and the most righteous in the sight of God is the one that is the most pious, the one who's most righteous, the one who does the most good. So this is important in the society we live in. People are always fighting, and we're hearing different issues, and people are attacking one another on different grounds, be it racial or anything else. The criterion is the most honorable people are the ones who are the most righteous. And we've been created like this in nations and tribes so that we get to know one another. And that's important. The second verse says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُ بِالْعَدْلِ وَالْإِحْسَانِ وَإِيتَاءِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى وَيَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنْكَرِ وَالْبَغْيِ يَعِظُكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَذَكَّرُونَ. That indeed God Almighty commands you what? Justice, excellence or good character, and giving towards your relatives. 3 things we've been instructed to do. And then He prohibits you from injustice. يَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ He prohibits you from evil, indecency, immorality, sin, and He prohibits you from any kind of vice. And then He says He admonishes you with the intention that perhaps you will take a lesson. And that's what I said at the beginning. This is meant so that we take out a few moments and just reflect that we've been instructed, it's universal values, that we are people of justice, people of righteousness, people who promote good, and we prevent all kinds of evil, all kinds of injustice. We should be people standing up for anything that is going against these values. And the third and final verse, it says, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. And mutually assist one another and cooperate in all kinds of good and righteousness and virtue, and do never ever cooperate, never assist one another in indecency and in aggression and oppression. Never cooperate, never assist one another when it comes to oppression, when it comes to aggression, when it comes to evil, but instead cooperate and help one another in matters of good. And if we keep these meanings in our minds, in our lives, we'll find that we're having a better society. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ahmed. Ladies and gentlemen, our final meditation today is from Professor Bentley, who is the acting head of the Institute, which is the Research Institute for Theology and Religion. Professor Bentley also comes from the College of Human Sciences. Over to you, Prof.
Madam Vice-Chancellor, Deans, Directors, all dignitaries and guests, I greet you and welcome. From Matthew chapter 5, I read, "You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has lost its taste, how can its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything, but is thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hidden. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under the bushel basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before all others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. When I read this passage, I'm reminded of a story which a friend of mine, who has now sadly passed away, told me about his childhood. Temba grew up in a small rural village in KwaZulu-Natal. He learned a valuable life lesson in the form of a life event. Temba was afraid of the dark, but every once in a while, after nightfall, his mother would send him to their neighbors to either go and borrow something or to send a message. And armed with only a lantern, Temba had to brave the dark. It seemed as if every noise was louder, every shadow a threat, and he knew that as he walked further and further away from the house, his bravery had to increase. He would walk a bit and then stop in fear and look back. And he would see his mother standing in the doorway, and she would call out to him, "Hamba, ngiyakubona. Carry on, I see you." And that was enough for him to turn forward again and to soldier on. Sometimes he couldn't see his mother anymore, but she saw his light. And as long as he heard her voice, her calling out to him, he knew that he could do this. Madam VC and guests, we have received a mandate, the lantern that we carry. And besides our mandate being to become, but more so to be, the African university shaping futures in the service of humanity, we are charged to be examples of living ethical lives, to be people and an institution of integrity, of innovation, excellence, tolerance, care, accountability. It is a mandate which is a tall order when we consider that we live in a world full of powers, full of shadows, and voices that they think that they can speak for us, think for us, and tell us who we are and how to live our lives. It is a fearful world to be in when one wants to serve, when one wants to be ethical, accountable, caring, and the shadows loom large. But while we carry this mandate, this lantern, when we are ever in doubt of our ability to cope with a situation, we hear the voice of our communities, of our children, of our students. Hamba, ngiyakubona. We hear the voice of Mother Africa. Hamba, ngiyakubona. We hear the divine voice resonate within us. Hamba, ngiyakubona. May our light shine before all people, that they may see all the good works that we have been called to do. Let us pray. In the midst of a world which relishes in division, dominance, and power play, we ask for courage to be the human beings that you called us to be. When the shadows loom large and the noises are threatening, may our courage hold fast, because we hear the voice, the loving, caring, empowering voice which says, Hamba, ngiyakubona, carry on, I see you. Amen.
Thank you so much to our colleagues who have led us in the very deep reflection and meditation before we get cracking into our opening ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, I must say that we are living in a time of great uncertainty, but we take joy in knowing that we are among people who apply their minds to the challenges of our world, who use their talents and skills and experience towards crafting the solutions that will make our world a better place. We remember our mutual commitment to mobilize our knowledge endeavors for the critical task of national, continental, and international development. And indeed, we look forward to a year of enhanced productivity, crossing new boundaries and scaling new heights. We look forward this year to a rich harvest of intellectual thought and trend-setting academic praxis. Most importantly, we commit to a service ethos that puts our society first. Friends, as we gaze towards the prospects of another year filled with challenges, opportunity, and some intrigue, it's time for us to re-energize and revitalize ourselves in preparation for this new season, dedicated wholly in our vocation in higher education. Let us seek to leave an enduring legacy by refusing to succumb to the false consolation of mediocrity. And as we set out into the world, let us ensure that we continue to remain the salt, not losing our flavor, to exemplify confidence, good stewardship, resourcefulness, innovation, proficiency, and an attitude of excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you once more for your participation and attendance at this special ceremony. And now, to give you a special treat, we are favored to have the Unisa choir who will render a musical item. Don't you love the Unisa choir? Oh, come on, they're amazing. What would the opening ceremony be without the angelic voices of Unisa choir? Over to you, choir.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm now continuing as the program director of this session. I want to take this opportunity to really thank the Unisa choir for this beautiful performance. Thank you for that round of applause. I will now request Dr. Dan Musia, the chairperson of Unisa Council, to deliver a welcome address.
Reclaiming Africa's intellectual futures for the next 150 years and beyond. Program directors, Professor Unisa, Acting Vice Principal, Teaching and Learning, Community Engagement and Student Support, Dr. Genevieve James, Deputy Director, Community Engagement and Outreach and Academic Planning, Professor R.A. Northover, Acting Chair of the Department of Africans and Theory of Literature. Members of the Unisa Council who are present here today, Professor Linka Bula, the Unisa Principal and Vice Chancellor, members of the Management Committee of the Unisa University, members of the Diplomatic Corps representing various countries in South Africa, executive deans and deputy executive deans from various colleges here at Unisa, executive directors, directors and schools of directors, our top performing students receiving various awards this morning, members of the Unisa staff, here at the main campus and in various regions watching the proceedings via the live streaming platform, the leadership of the organized labor and other recognized structures present with us, members of the National Student Representative Council and various student bodies in attendance this morning, Dr. L. Kobe, Dr. S. Ahmed, and Professor Bentley, who have led us in the meditation this morning, members of the university choir, distinguished members of the audience, and let me take at this point in time and say to you, Miss World 2024, you are welcome and we are happy to see you here today. Ladies and gentlemen, Dumelang, Tobela, Molweni, Saniboneani, Avsheni, Loshani, Mashuleoni, Huyemuore. Good morning. Program directors, I would like to first express my appreciation on behalf of Council to all of you, to having responded favorably to the university's invitation to grace this crucial occasion, the official opening of the 2025 academic year. Your positive response to this call to the university is indeed a pointer to the loyalty and commitment to this, our august institution. I must also hasten to add that gatherings of this nature should not be taken lightly. They are a critical feature in the life of many organizations, as they are used as an essential platform not just to reflect on their situation, but also at which leaders of these organizations outline the immediate and long-term organizational plans. They are also there to provide an opportunity to present the line of march for the organization's epistemic community, especially the members of staff. In terms of significance, they may indeed be likened to the national events such as the State of the National Address that we have just heard recently. It should therefore follow that whenever the staff and students of Unisa respond favorably to the clarion call from the institution to attend the official opening ceremony, their response should be reciprocated with an equal dose of recognition and applause. Let's give them an applause, please. Ladies and gentlemen, when Council held its last ordinary sitting of the year in 2024, one of the matters it had to reflect on was the presentation of the Principal and Vice-Chancellor's State of the University Address. Let me just correct one thing at this point in time before I proceed. The university statute required us as Council to look at the term of the Principal and Vice-Chancellor way in advance. So I could hear one of the program directors here said, her term starts now. Let me correct that. The term, I know we love the Vice-Chancellor. Her term starts, the second term starts in 2026. By all means, we can continue to celebrate her in advance. One profound aspect of that presentation that she made was the reminder about the challenging times that Unisa had endured, as well as the proud moments it had encountered as the institution continued to serve its primary stakeholders, that is, our very students. Despite the odds that were heavily stacked against us, we remained resilient and resolute, Professor Lenkabula reminded us. Madam Vice-Chancellor, looking back at the model you provided of steadfastness, perseverance, and resilience against all the odds made me ponder seriously about the following words that were said in 1999 by Mampele Rampele when she said, I quote, "The double jeopardy of being black and female in a racist and sexist society may well make one less afraid of the sanctions against success. A non-subservient black woman is by definition a transgressive. She is the ultimate outsider," unquote. Your boldness to be transgressive against all the life-denying forces for the sake of this asset called Unisa has been truly inspired and transformative. Your profound message remains etched in memory. It would thus be remiss of me not to share with you that message. Ladies and gentlemen, she said, and I quote, "Resilience is not about merely enduring. It is the power to persist through challenges with a shared vision, fostering growth through partnership and commitment," unquote. On behalf of Council, I wish to extend heartfelt gratitude to our staff, students, and stakeholders for their unwavering commitment to academic excellence and the overwhelming spirit of resilience that continues to define who we are and what we are for all these years. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning, I'm deliberately predicating my address on this profound message of resilience by the Vice-Chancellor, as I'm of the view that it provides us with the golden opportunity to approach matters differently. As you know, at the close of each academic year, we gather in the same hall to reflect on the challenges and achievements of a particular year, and pat ourselves on the back for the things we have managed to achieve and promise on another to improve in areas where we did not do as we would have liked to do. Doubtlessly, the stride we are making and victories we are scoring on many fronts, including in research outputs, engaged scholarships, projects and global university rankings, amongst others, are a cause for celebration at all material times. And celebrate them we should. However, the time has come where the Unisa narrative can and should be told in a better and more improved way. Our international footprint, Madam Vice-Chancellor, the size of our student population, our exciting academic projects, example being the thriving Unisa farm, our graduate numbers, as well as our years of existence, can no longer be the only descriptor of our brand. Agility, excellence, efficiency, good service, as well as global stature, and the leadership amongst are amongst others some of the descriptors that we should infuse into our Unisa story and make them synonymous with the Unisa brand. Ladies and gentlemen, as Council, we stand fully behind the 7 strategic priorities that will underpin the overall Unisa strategy for the next 5 years. As we have indicated during the closing ceremony last year, the executive leadership of the university, led by the Principal and Vice-Chancellor, Professor Lenkabula, carried the task of outlining these priorities to the entire university community, as well as leading the charge in their implementation. For good measure, let me again share the strategic priorities with yourselves, and these are: an academically excellent and research-intensive university, a sustainable university, a student-centric university, a community-engaged university, a university of sound governance and leadership, a digitally dynamic university, and of course, lastly, a reputable university. I repeat these strategic priorities because of their centrality in the life of this institution. They must thus be imprinted in our hearts and on our minds. They, together with the 10 catalytic niche areas and the overall institutional values, will be the lodestar that will assist us to navigate our way to this envisaged end state. And described by the 7 strategic priorities, it is a path we must traverse now in 2025 and beyond. As the celebrated author, poet, and civil servant, and rather civil rights activist Maya Angelou reminds us, I quote, "If you are always trying to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be," unquote. Program directors, please allow me to really impress upon you all the importance of our own attitudes towards the Unisa brand and the responsibility that we each carry to protect and preserve it. If we want external public to respect our brand, if we want the brand to grow and sustain itself in the long term, We must do everything in our power to protect it and to jealously guard it. Conduct such as unauthorized disclosure of sensitive and confidential information can only serve to damage the brand and impact it negatively on our financial performance and sustainability. Some among us may take this lightly, but I'm afraid that if this is not stopped, the consequences will be too ghastly to contemplate for all of us. As I go towards conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, as we look to 2025 and beyond, our commitment to transformation, access, success, and global competitiveness will guide our path forward. Innovation will remain at the heart of our endeavors so that we continue to equip our students with skills for a rapidly changing world of work. As we part ways for now, let us carry the light of Unisa's vision into our lives and illuminate the world with knowledge and compassion, taking our cue from Eskia Mphahlele when he argued, I quote, "School knowledge and activity should reinforce our needs for one another. It should reconfirm our traditional compassion and impulse to share," unquote. Together, we are not building an institution that is the hub of academic excellence, but also creating a legacy that will inspire generations to come. Let me wish you a happy Valentine's Day. I thank you.
Let us thank the Chair of Council for a very encouraging message that he delivered in welcoming us. He reminded us of what we stand for and where we are going. We are reclaiming the Africa's intellectual features in the next 150 years and beyond. He reminded us that we should not take this gathering of this nature for granted. And also, he encouraged us to celebrate the renewal of the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Puleng Linka, in advance for being the first Black woman to lead this university. And also congratulated her for her resilience and in succeeding to provide leadership against all odds. Under her leadership, the university is reputable with increased performance in all areas such as governance, teaching and learning, research, community engagement, student support, and also engaging our stakeholders. Ladies and gentlemen, that was our Chair of Council. We are welcome. In my language, singakhulula siqhome ibhaki, because he's saying, this is our home, let's enjoy this occasion. I will now request representatives of Unisa, statutory and epistemic communities to render their messages, and the messages are recorded and they will appear on the screen. The order is that we'll have a representative of the Black Forum, Advocate KB Morota, and then the Unisa Women's Forum, Professor KR Mbata, Nehau representative, Mr. MN Bomoyi, and APSA representative, Mr. B. Masakona. Each one of them will only take 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good morning to the Unisans, to the Vice-Chancellor of the University and her management collective, council of this university, the students, and all Unisans. I'm Advocate Kahuja Maroda from the Unisa Black Forum. Our focus as Black Forum in this 2025 academic year is to focus on stakeholder relations, rebuilding stakeholder relationships, because we believe strongly that without a good stakeholder relationships within this university will fail to achieve its own visions. So it is important, and we take it as of critical importance, that for the university to excel very well and compete with other great universities in the world, it depends on having great internal stakeholder relationships, and that boils down to even interrelationships between the Unisans, between persons who are working in this university. So our focus as Black Forum is to make sure that there is a healthy relationships amongst people, among stakeholders across all corners of the university, so that we could have a concerted effort to achieve the vision of this university. But we are still going to hold the management accountable to show that we are lacking in terms of stakeholder relationships in certain areas. We saw some management, taking some imbalanced decision, looking in, you can check the decision on IPMS, reducing of the scores. You can check the decision on the academic grading. To us, is an academic grading light. We wanted a proper academic grading, but we take into light the achievements that the university have made over the previous years, and in the beginning of this year. We see the good partnerships that they are forging out there. We see the brand reputation that they are modeling for the university. We see the acquisition of the experimental farms. We see a lot of things. So this boils down to 10 catalytic niche areas that the VC have launched in 2021, which at the center of it is acquiring, some incomes, generating some incomes for the university to invest it into the core business of this university. Having said everything that I have said, as Black Forum, we are here to unite everyone. We are here to ensure that the university achieves all its vision, from the council level to the student affairs level. Amanga.
Thank you so much, Advocate. I think we are grateful for the Advocate to show appreciation of the role of the VC in managing the internal and stakeholders and external stakeholders, appreciating all the achievements, the funding that is coming to the university, the performance, and he mentioned specifically the farm, the Unisa farm. Those are his appreciation, and the relationship that their committee has with the university and the Vice Chancellor. We thank you. Now we'll move to the next one, Unisa Women's Forum. Professor Mbata.
Women's Forum. The vision of Unisa Women's Forum in 2025 is to accelerate action for unity, support, and positive work relationships among all of us. To accelerate action for inclusivity, understanding of diversity, equity, women empowerment, and gender equality. Yes, we are the Unisa Women's Forum, but we have not forgotten that we gave birth to boys too, and we love them dearly. We include them in our activities. Currently, only 31% of female vice-chancellors are leading universities in South Africa. It's growing, but very slowly. Something has to be done for this. Anything is achievable, even if it seems difficult. I thank you.
Equity is accelerated. And that she highlights as a very important observation that the number of female vice-chancellors out of the 26 universities is still not sufficient, but there's a bit of growth gradually, but it's still not appreciated. It has to grow. We need more, 50% or 70% of women to lead these universities. Thank you. Now we will listen to the leader of Nehau, Mr. Bomoy. The message? Okay, if the message is not yet there, can we listen to the message of the APSA representative leader, Mr. Masakona? Wow. Okay, thank you. Our representatives, maybe they need something that needed to be corrected. I will take this opportunity to really appreciate those who presented, and I will now invite the representatives to come to the podium to render their messages. The Institutional Forum, Professor M.D. Magano. Professor M.D. Oh, she's here.
Program Director, Professor Seku, the Chancellor of the University, Dr. Thabo Mbeki, the Principal and Vice Chancellor, Professor Linkabula, the Chairperson of Council, Dr. Musia, the Vice Principals of the University of South Africa, the Extended Management Committee, college leaders, college staff members, support staff members, the students of the University of the Land and Unisa alumni, a warm good morning, Thobela. The Institutional Forum is one of several governance structures recognized and mandated in terms of the Higher Education Act in line with the cooperative model of governance. The role of the Institutional Forum in this regard, in particular as a structure that is widely representative of various constituencies within the university, cannot be undermined. The composition of the IF is made up of senior management members of the university, academic and support staff, labor representative, National Student Representative Council, and external members. The Institutional Forum plays a critical role in the pursuit of transformational goals, which remains a bone of contention in the higher education sector. This is a critical issue for Unisa as well, as it continues to strive towards the achievement of various transformational goals. In line with the requirements of the Higher Education Act, and this IF must always advise Council on the institutional matters that will provide proper and smooth governance. And the University of South Africa also stands to benefit immensely from the contribution made by the Institutional Forum. The advisory role of the Institutional Forum to Council is more fully encapsulated in Section 31 of the Act, which provides the following: advise the Council on issues affecting the institution, including the implementation of the Act and the national policy on higher education, race and gender equity policies, the selection of candidates for senior management positions, codes of conduct, mediation and dispute resolutions, and also fostering of an institutional culture which promotes tolerance, respect for fundamental human rights, and creates an appropriate environment for teaching, research, and engaged scholarship. Program Director, ladies and gentlemen, the Institutional Forum Committee in 2024 managed to achieve the following. On 15 February 2024, the Institutional Forum resolved as follows: to advise Council that it support the implementation plan on language policy, and that all portfolios should ensure that the language policy was being implemented within the institution in line with the Higher Education Act. Subsequent to that, the portfolio Teaching and Learning was engaged by the IF, and the Directorate Language Services made a presentation to IF to demonstrate how language policy is implemented. The IF also resolved to advise Council on a way in which the institution is supporting students who are differently abled by having sign language interpreters in all colleges. They further advised Council on the development of a process to speed up the procurement processes within the university. Supply chain was also invited by IF to give a presentation on how processes can be speeded up. The portfolio research, postgraduate studies, innovation and commercialization also was invited by Institutional Forum to demonstrate on how they implement the language policy within the institution. The IF engaged the enrollment plan for 2025. They also engaged the transformation report of the university. The IF also recommended the Institutional Code of Ethics. The Executive Committee of the Institutional Forum submitted names of the representative of Institutional Forum on the selection of the Vice Principals, Institutional Development, and Vice Principal Finance. Furthermore, the Institutional Forum participated in the review process of the Principal and Vice Chancellor as observers in 2024. As IF, we are proud to say the process went smoothly and in a fair way. Congratulations for the second term. What the IF plans to achieve in 2025 is as follows. For this year, the Institutional Forum has formed the following subcommittees that will assist in providing advice to Council on pertinent matters in the institution. The first subcommittee within the IF is the finance, so that the IF oversees and sees that there's a smooth process. The Student Learning Experience IF Subcommittee and the Transformation IF Subcommittee. IF will also continue to ensure that the language policy is implemented across all portfolios. No language should be undermined. In closing, Program Director, ladies and gentlemen, the Institutional Forum seeks to foster an institutional culture which promotes tolerance and respect. I thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Magano, for reminding us and reminding the House that the Institutional Forum It's an important statutory body, which is part of the statute of the university, and its main role is to advise the council of the university. I will now call upon the National Student Representative Council, Chairperson, Mr. Mabilane, the President. President.
Mandla. Thank you very much, Program Director. It's President. Chairperson of Council, Dr. Musia, together with your collective leadership, a team that I am honored to serve alongside. Your presence here today signifies the shared responsibility that we have in shaping the future of this institution. Vice Chancellor and Principal Professor Puleng Lenkabula, on behalf of the 370,000 plus students of Unisa, we acknowledge your leadership as we embark on yet another academic year under your guidance. To the dedicated workers of Unisa and their leadership, through the ABSA leadership and the HAU and all esteemed guests, your role in keeping this institution running does not go unnoticed. Chairperson of Council, I am here to lobby you, and I am reliably informed that you are a decorated businessman. And thus, as it goes with all businessmen, you've got deep pockets. If that is indeed the case, we want you to help us fight the student debt, which is now dangerously close to R1 billion. Chairperson of Council, we want you to bring back the University Council bursary. Let us establish a collective effort to assist students in financial distress. As students, Chairperson, we are ready to contribute at least R2 from our registration that will go to the student levy that will sustain this bursary. We are also ready to lobby the ABSA leadership and the NEHAU leadership to encourage workers to donate at least R5 from their monthly salaries to this noble cause. We are also ready to go and lobby the Vice Chancellor, her management team, and other senior officials to contribute portions of their salaries to ensure that no deserving student is left behind. I have just lobbied the Convocation President, Comrade Justice Dabambe, and he has told me that he is on board. Chairperson, we want you to come on board as we embark on this progressive campaign. All we need from you is faka imali uzobona. Vice Chancellor, your ICT infrastructure has improved immensely. And for that, we acknowledge the strides taken in that stride. However, we remain dissatisfied with the digital divide that exists, that continues to exclude thousands of students from academic success. Always remember that the speed at which you introduce new technology may be directly linked to the high academic exclusion that we are seeing. While digital transformation is necessary, let us be mindful that accessibility must remain the core of the university's agenda. Furthermore, we are closely monitoring the enrollment targets. We are tired of subsidy penalties from government which undermine the university's ability to deliver quality services to its students. It is imperative that the university meets its enrollment targets so that we do not continue to lose vital funding. We are also deeply concerned that Unisa and largely the country as a whole is not recruiting enough mathematics and science students. This is a national crisis, and without students in the maths and science sector, we stand to lose a great loss. VC, my office is designed in a manner in which I get to work with the registrar's office very closely. it's a structural design which I get to then work with the registrar like that. I must confirm something with you, VC, is that out of all the registrars that we have seen in this university, we are yet to meet such a progressive leader like the registrar we currently have. We want to confirm that the leadership style of Professor Sepota is unmatched, and therefore he must be supported with the necessary staff to complement him. We have had the work from home policy VC. We want to acknowledge that work from home policy was introduced in response to the changing work dynamics and the need for efficiency. We recognize that many workers benefited from this and model, balancing their professional and personal responsibilities. We must also acknowledge the concerns raised by students. In certain areas, service delivery has been affected, and students struggle to get immediate and academic and administrative support. While we do not call yet for a complete removal of this policy, we urge the university to find a balanced approach, one that ensures that workers' rights are protected while maintaining the highest level of service delivery for students. Workers are the backbone of the university, and we must create an environment and a policy that works for both them and us, our students, that they serve. Let us engage further on the matter and find a way forward. VC Unisa is ready for Varsity Cup. Unisa is ready to send its students to the Olympics. We are ready to have representatives in marathons. We have signed our sports policy already last year, and they've been telling us that it's stuck with LSO. We are coming here to lobby you that can you please engage with the relevant authorities to ensure that our sports policy is therefore approved by MENCOM so that we can start being ambassadors of the university in other spaces. President and Chancellor Thabo Mbeki, in his farewell speech to Nelson Mandela, spoke of how circumstances Mandela did not choose should have confined him to the villages or restricted him. Instead, Mandela rose above most of us. Mandela rose above. Most of us might not have considered Unisa as our first option. Circumstances we did not choose might have compelled us to the university. But upon entering the doors of this university, it's only then we do realize it is needed, and then we do realize why it is meant, as they say, it is the University of Leaders. I want to take this moment to salute the student leadership. I want to salute the collective leadership of the National SRC who have worked tirelessly for the student interest. We want to salute the EFF Student Command who have led this 2-year project with commitment and determination. We want to salute the opposition in SASCO and ANC Youth League who have played a crucial role in student struggles and their contributions. We want to also salute the only academic structure that we have in the SRC, the Unisa Law Student Association, which has continued to lead the students in the Faculty of Law. We want to salute you leaders. A luta continua, salute.
We thank you, President, my President. We appreciate your speech, your appreciation of the leadership of the Vice Chancellor, and the fact that you are lobbying the Chair of Council for a very good cause of ensuring that there's a bursary for students who are needy, because in our nature, we don't want to leave anyone behind. Thank you very much. I will now call upon the representative of the Convocation, the President of the Convocation, Mr. J. Dabambi. And then I will also at the end give an opportunity to the union representatives, 2 of them, who didn't want to be on the screen, who perhaps wants to come and be on stage. And I want to remind the speakers that our program is a little bit long. We give each speaker 3 minutes, please.
No, thank you very much. So, program director, I have 1 million plus alumni, plus the workers here and the students. So, your 3 minutes, if I pass it, pardon me, because of I have 1 million plus. I'm the greatest stakeholder, so you'll have to pardon me. We represent the highest number of people. And 1 million people wouldn't want to hear their president speak for a mere 3 minutes. I will try, but if not, you'll have to pardon us. The Honorable Chancellor, His Excellency Thabo Mbeki in absentia, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Lenkabula, the Chair of Council, Ntate Musia, the Progressive Registrar, Prof. Sepota, esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests, the progressive leadership of the SRC led by President Nati and Secretary General Apiwe, the labor unions, the students, the alumni, and all the stakeholders of the biggest institution, which is not named after a town. We are named after the entire country. Good morning. Chair of Council and the VC, I thought unions are going to pre-record as per the request that your office had sent to them. Take into consideration that now in January, it was Christmas in Unisa through the academic grading, which was initiated by the VC and concluded by the Chair of Council. So I thought maybe they'll be more than happy to adhere to the request, considering that they just come from Christmas now in January, not in December. So they had 2 Christmases, Chair. So I'm a bit disappointed that they didn't adhere to the request. It is a great privilege for me to stand before you today in this revered space of ZK Matthews Hall as we embark on the 2025 academic year together. Standing under the name of this great hall, we are reminded of ZK Matthews' legacy, a leader who tirelessly worked for the intellectual and educational advancement of our country and the African continent. It is worth mentioning that ZK Matthews studied in Unisa, and this reaffirms that indeed, as Unisa were the hub of knowledge production and intellectualism. Today, we gather here to also align ourselves with his vision, which resonates deeply with the theme of this year's ceremony, and I quote, reclaiming Africa's intellectual futures in the next 150 years and beyond, close quote. As we reflect on this theme, we are reminded of Unisa's pivotal role in shaping the future of Africa by cultivating the intellect, empowering the minds, and ensuring that education remains a beacon of hope, transformation, and progress. This academic year, we stand at a moment of opportunity and responsibility. We have a collective duty to reclaim the intellectual futures of our people and ensure that the next 150 years are marked by progress, innovation, and unity. The Unisa Convocation is steadfast in its commitment to supporting this vision. We are dedicated to forging a path that ensures the success of our students both during their time at Unisa and long after they graduate. Our goals extend beyond academic excellence. They include the creation of a vibrant and engaged alumni community that will work together to uplift not only our university, but also our society. As we have stated earlier, we are the university of the land. Therefore, we must be solutions to the complex problems our society finds itself in. We are proud of the strides that Unisa has made in research output, with our institution increasingly contributing to the global academic knowledge and thought leadership. Unisa's commitment to research excellence is evident as we continue to climb the global rankings a testament to the dedication of our scholars, the strength of our intellectual community, and the quality of our educational offering. So every year, when the global rankings which are released, Unisa always climbs up. The recent one being where Unisa was number 7. Quite disappointing, because we thought by now we would be at number 5, but for sure next year we'll be at number 5. Our research output not only addresses the pressing challenges faced by Africa, but also elevates the global discourse, ensuring that our work is felt on a world stage. This is a critical part of our vision, one that aligns with our commitment to reclaiming Africa's intellectual future, because the future of education and research in Africa is bound to its global relevance. As Paulo Freire, the renowned educator and philosopher, once said, and I quote, "Education is the key to unlocking the world, a passport to freedom," close quote. Today we are reaffirmed that education at Unisa is not just about knowledge acquisition. It is about transformation of individual communities and nations. Our research output, our academic excellence, and our unyielding focus on improving higher education all serve to unlock the potential of future generations that will carry our work forward. As the president of Convocation, I share a vision of a united alumni network that remains engaged with our alma mater. This is not just a vision of nostalgia or reminiscence. It is a vision of collective action. Together, we will harness the power of our alumni to ensure that Unisa graduates are not only equipped with knowledge, but are also ready to contribute meaningfully to our communities and the world at large. However, while we strive for academic excellence and alumni engagement, we must also address critical challenges that affect the lives of many students today, particularly the issue of student debt and graduate unemployment. As we work towards these goals, the Unisa Convocation is committed to playing an active role in finding solutions to alleviate financial burdens and ensuring that our graduates have viable prospects. We understand that these challenges are deeply interconnected, and it is only by working together, meaning the staff, the students, the alumni, and all the stakeholders, that we will create an environment in which our students can thrive academically and professionally. Starting here in Unisa, there must not be any post, whether it's a VC post, it's a VP post, a executive dean. If that person did not study at Unisa, what is that person doing in our institution? They must go and work in an institution where they studied. We are therefore saying Unisa for Unisans. It can't be that we pride ourselves as having billions and billions in reserves, but these reserves, they are not working for our graduates. They are working for other institutions' graduates. Even in terms of business, these business people will have a proper engagement with them. Or you take Unisa graduates, or else we don't know. We don't have powers of SCM, but we'll make the necessary noise that if people are not giving back to Unisa, why must Unisa give them any job? But of course, without undermining the quality of the job. Unisa's strength lies in its ability to draw students from across the continent, creating a diverse and dynamic learning environment that enriches all of us. This diversity is our strength, but it also brings a need for greater collaboration between all Unisa stakeholders. It is essential that we build a strong, inclusive sense of community that transcends the boundaries of campus and extends across Africa and beyond. It is through such unity that we will truly be able to advance Africa's intellectual future. So as we open the 2025 academic year, I urge all of you, students, the faculty, staff, alumni, partners, and all the stakeholders to work together, support one another, and to remain committed to the ideals of academic excellence, inclusivity, and innovation. Let us be bold in reclaiming the intellectual futures of Africa, not just for today, but for generations to come. The next 150 years and beyond start now, through collective commitment and hard work. To our students, I say this: you are not alone. We stand with you. we believe in you, and we are happy to support you in your journey by whatever means necessary. To the faculty and staff, thank you for your unwavering dedication and the impact you have on shaping leaders of tomorrow. Don't stop now, but continue, for leaders of tomorrow rely greatly on you. To our alumni, your continued engagement with Unisa will inspire future generations, and together we will strengthen this institution. And we must make it clear that currently there's been problems of support previously, but through the office of VP Institutional Development, Prof. Magano, we are beginning to see strides in the community, the alumni engagement and practical support to ensure that Unisa does not only preach support to the alumni, but gives back to the alumni. In closing, Vice Chancellor, alumni of Unisa, so we have started, you can tell, she's an alumni of Unisa. So Unisa for Unisans, we have practicalized it when we gave her second term. We acknowledge that there may have been those in the past who sought to derail the progress and unity of Unisa. They used media, they used courts, but all of their thing dwindled into insignificance because, as I said, we are a university of the land, not a university of a person or of a town. Today, we want to say to you, VC, do not be distracted. Stay focused on the mission and on the vision of taking Unisa to greater heights. And know that because you are our alumni, the Convocation stands firmly behind you. Do not doubt us. We are fully, as Convocation, the 1 million plus alumni, they are behind you. And together, we are united in our resolve to ensure that Unisa continues to thrive and make an inevitable impact on the future of Africa. So for the past 150 years, we've been fighting in the institution, fighting that no, we must have a female VC, we must have this, we must have that. Those years of fighting, they are over. Now it is time for Unisa graduates, for Unisa students to thrive. We are no longer fighting. Those things of fighting, they are behind us. Now is to ensure that as Unisa, we thrive. The stigma that Unisa graduates have been having, where we were treated as if we were stepchildren of this country, has come to an end. As Unisa are entering the market, there's no job that will be advertised, whether it's in Unisa or anywhere, that does not have a Unisa graduate. Let us move forward in this academic year with purpose, passion, and unity. Together we'll reclaim Africa's intellectual future. And finally, we are offering you love today. Therefore, you must return this love by loving each other, and happy Valentine's Day. Thank you.
Thank you, President of the Convocation, for really acknowledging Unisa, acknowledging for the growth, the Vice Chancellor for the leadership, and also emphasizing that Unisans should be prioritized in terms of work. Hence, the Vice Chancellor is also a Unisan. I am also a Unisan President. I'm not here by mistake. Thank you very much. Now I will call upon the Senate representative, Professor Mapoli. Prof, I know you'll make 3 minutes.
So senators have a very good big role, but I will do my best. Chair of Council, Ntate Den Musia, Principal and Vice Chancellor, Professor Puleng Kabula, Vice Principals, fellow deans, academics, support staff, students, and esteemed guests, good morning. It is an honor to stand before you today as a representative of Senate, and as senators, we reaffirm our unwavering support of the vision of Unisa and your leadership, Vice Chancellor, Your first term has elevated Unisa to a greater heights. We anticipate even greater achievement in the second term, and I appreciate that the Chair Council has indicated that it's starting in 2026. So as we face the 2026, we hope that it will go to better, greater heights. Under your guidance, Unisa remain a beacon of knowledge, innovation, excellence, transforming lives across Africa, South Africa, Africa, and the world. As we embark on the 2025 academic year, our mission as senators remains clear. And we are saying to you, we will strengthening the academic project, improve the catalytic niche area, and enhancing the student support. And that we reaffirm you that we will be supporting you for that. We'll continue to this commitment as encouraged by the success of the phase 1 of the academic grading, anticipating the phase 2 performance evaluation, and also the ad hominem promotion. So I'm believing that academics, when they are happy, the outputs also become more for the university. So that's what we are looking forward for. We also thank you and the Council and the MENCOM for successful grading for our university. I think this puts the academic project at a higher level and can also attract more expertise and top expertise in the world. As a university excellence is built in an academic rigor, intellectual curiosity, and research impact. So, Vice Chancellor, we plead to ensure that Unisa will remain a leading institution by refining our curriculum, securing the external research grants, knowing that Unisa is very good in providing the internal grants for our researchers. But we are saying to you that we will also go ahead and get more external research grants and fostering the critical thinking and innovation of our university. Vice Chancellor and the Council and the MENCOM, this requires the strategic investment, interdisciplinary collaboration, and a quality assurance framework that ensures the global competitiveness and local relevance. Therefore, we really request you to make sure that these resources are available for the academic project. Vice Chancellor, I must say that innovation drives higher education transformation. And we are happy that Unisa catalytic niche area aligns with the national, continental, and the global priorities. And as we embark on this cutting edge and the skills gap that we have in our fields of studies, we will do much better when it comes to 2025. Because we have the evidence that we celebrated the achievement as the engineering school has hosted the position 1 in the country and also the top-ranked nano research project at Unisa. You must also know that Unisa is a leadership in the genome sequencing in collaboration with Africa BP in Africa, which has been noticed by the top expertise in the world when we were in the PEG genome, the plant and animal genomics conference in San Diego in January, where we were congratulated for quality genome produced by the African scientists in Africa, and this was done at Unisa. We must also remind you that in this catalytic niche area, we are striving for improvements, and as we look for the advancing progress in the drug discovery and the human health, and as we are embarking as the university to immediately just already coming with the hospital and the veterinary school, we believe that we will do much better. Also, we're looking at the new programs, and as I look at the BSc in digital agriculture, marine study, and also for us reskilling the communities, you will see that the CSET, they are reskilling to the mining employees, demonstrating our commitment to the real world. These advancements require targeted resource allocation, and the industry partners, and a thriving research culture. We thank you for making it possible for Unisa to have the farm, and this will advance and transform the university to again a better, greater heights. And we have already seen yielding good produce, and as we had planted 260 hectares of soya and maize, and we have, when we bought the farm, we had 300 cows. Now we are sitting at 360 cattle, so, and also 23 sheep. So I can tell you that there is already anticipated more work that will bring the Smart Science Hub and the advancement that we're also looking forward, also on the aeronautic research, reinforce Unisa's position in the global scope. I have to say this, that students are at the heart of our academic enterprise because they are the future leaders and the inventors of our society. Their success is our success. We are committing as a senators, prioritizing holistic student support through online learning, practical training, mentorship programs. And I believe this makes the VP Nakene to relook into the digital learning resource properly. VC, we recognize the 50% of failure NAFSA students, and we as senators, we are saying that we will prioritize this and bring the solutions. So I just want to close by saying that as the university also, we are looking at the student support and core curriculum programs as part of the human geography perspectives to further enrich the student success. A thriving university is an engine of the national development, economic prosperity, and social transformation. As we embark for 2025, Unisa must remain steady in pursuit of excellent, inclusivity and impact-driven education. VC, as I now stop, I would like us as a university to unite. Council, MENCOM, academics, support staff, students, stakeholders to uphold Unisa's vision, invest in the catalytic niche area, support student success. Our university's future is brighter. Through the shared commitment, we will continue making a lasting impact on the society. Vice Chancellor, may the Lord grant you the wisdom, the guidance, as you are leading this giant institution. As Haggai 2 verse 9 said, the glory of this present house will be greater than the glory of the former house, says the Lord Almighty. In this place, I will grant peace. I thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Mapodi. I gave you time to present a 3-minute thesis. Thank you for appreciating the catalytic niche areas that are really making a difference in the academic environment, and also emphasizing the importance of supporting our students and appreciating the growth of Unisa to be successful in global rankings. Thank you. I still want to give an opportunity for our union leaders and APSA to come to the podium. Our representatives. Thank you for coming.
Manza, awe to, raibatla chelete ya rona di IPMS raibatla chelete ya rona raibatla. Thank you very much, comrade workers. It's a pity that at the time that we had to do the recording, we were still fighting the big elephant in the room, which is the IPMS, and therefore we couldn't do it. Comrades, Vice Chancellor, we want to greet all the guests that are here today, but you must also allow us to greet the Chairman of Council, Dr. Dan Musia, whom we know that he had many other important responsibilities, but needed to be here today to provide important leadership. We also want to greet yourself, VC, together with all the members of the Management Committee and all the stakeholders that are here today. Comrade Vice Chancellor, yourself together with the generation of the insourcing, which fought for the security guards, the domestic workers, and also the gardeners to be insourced in the university years back. We want to remind you that to this day in 2025, those colleagues are still at P14. You must study the direction of inflation. Our security guards are unable to survive in this current economy, and as ABSA Union, we are calling that let us assist them so that they get a better salary, so that they can be able to survive in this economy of today. Comrades Vice Chancellor, the domestic worker says that we must tell you that they are out of the uniforms, that the last time that they had a decent uniform was in 2020. We are asking that the university must accelerate the distribution of the uniform for the security guards, the gardeners, and also the domestic worker. It is time that we must humanize them. They are an equal partner in this university, and therefore let us render them in the highest regard. Comrade Vice Chancellor, there is a big issue here in this institution which is historical and has been heavily institutionalized. There is a serious problem of the salary imbalances. We were invited there at ICT. The colleagues are saying that we're doing an equal work, but the salary that we're getting is not the same. We are saying that all the workers at ICT, all of them must get a P8. This must apply across all boards. Our workers who are contributing the same, they must get an equal salary so that we don't divide the staff component of the institution. Comrade VC, we want to say to you here today that we have noticed that we must be able to strengthen and accelerate the important fight against patronage and nepotism. This culture of line managers who collaborate with some of the shop stewards and hire their cousins and uncles and their sisters while they are deserving workers of the institution, it must come to an end. It is high time that Unisa must belong to its workers. Comrade VC, you wanted to understand what will be the vision of ABSA Union this year. Want to say to you that we are reliably informed that FNB, which is doing business with the university, that its relationship with our institution is coming to an end. We are saying that Unisa must not fear buying shares so that it must have a part of ownership. Alternatively, Unisa must form its own bank. The university convocation president is saying, we have 1 million alumni, we have over 380,000 students, we have 7,000 workers. Let us pay them with our own banks of the university. Comrade Vice Chancellor, there is a serious shenanigan taking place at the UCL. The academic community have contributed extensively in designing the short learning programs. However, to our dismay, we have noticed that these academics have not been remunerated. We are calling for the UCL, we are calling for you, the new VP of Teaching and Learning, that pay these academics the money that they deserve. It belongs to them. They generated that revenue. Comrade Vice Chancellor, ABSA Union, which is leading the intellectual struggle in this university, we have designed and developed a program where we say that we must retain the workers, where we say that we must retrain the workers, where we say that we must redeploy these workers. We have noticed that there are many workers that are underwhelmed, that are overwhelmed, that are underutilized in departments that have now been classified as if they are redundant. We are saying that at dispatch there are workers with a master's degree. Let us take them and promote them elsewhere. There are workers at DSAR that are doing an important job, but they are underutilized there. Let us take them and place them elsewhere. We don't want the university to be stuck with talent that is not being utilized properly. Let us take them in areas where they will be better utilized. Comrade VC, we are saying that they are fixed-term workers that have been working for the past 5 years, that have been working for the past 10 years. It is high time now that we must employ them and ensure that they are permanent. Comrade VC, it is important that we build the academic community. There are many components in the support staff that have the necessary skill and the qualification. In the event that the opportunities in academia, let us look internally in the institution so that we go and strengthen that important component which must generate revenue through the production of knowledge. Lastly, Comrade VC, we want to say to you that it will be a particle of truth if we do not salute you for the important contribution that you have made for the fight for academic grading. The academic community in this university is a silent majority. A silent majority in the sense that these are the people who are producing knowledge. These are the people who are doing the important work of teaching and learning. These are the people who are contributing to knowledge. But yet, these are people that were underpaid in this institution. These are the people who are not remunerated correctly. We want to thank you that when ABSA Union came and said that we must deliver academic grading, your progressive council indeed has delivered academic grading and our academics are better paid. We want to say, Comrade Vice Chancellor, next week on Tuesday, ABSA Union is going to release a petition. We want to collect the data of all the staff component in the institution who have been working here. They are on fixed-term contract. They are not yet permanent. We are going to the office of the Vice Chancellor. We want you to be permanent. Comrade Vice Chancellor, I am the only fit unionist in this university who can fight for the struggles of the fixed-term contractors. So VC, program number 1 for 2025, the fixed-term contractors must get the study benefits. Program number 2, the women who are on fixed term, this thing that when you go for maternity, you are told that you must take an unpaid leave, it must come to an end, you must have the maternity leave. Comrade Vice Chancellor, we are saying we are doing an equal work with our fellow staff who are permanent. We deserve the performance bonuses like the rest of the other workers. In conclusion, Comrade Vice Chancellor, we have noticed that there are enemy agents that are trying to destabilize this institution. We are not going to agree to that. The leadership that we have at management level, at council level, is the best that we have. The leadership that we have, ABSA Union is giving it its full support. This does not mean that we are going to surrender the struggle of IPMS. We are saying the struggle is ongoing. We deserve our money. Do not demotivate us. Amandla! Hey, 2. Eyo nesaya sebeletswa. Halala. Eyo nesaya sebeletswa. Halala. Heyo nesaya sebeletswa. Halala. Sete halala. Halala. Sete halala. Halala. Just. Heyo nesaya sebeletswa. Halala. Thank you very much. Amandla.
That was the chairperson of the ABSA Union advocating for workers in the current economic climate. I'm still inviting Nehau. Is Nehau coming? Nehau? They're not coming. Okay. And Nehau is not coming. Thank you. They are saying ABSA has done it. I will now move. We'll now have to move with our program. I will request, and I want to thank the statutory bodies for their presentations, their advocacy that they have done for all of the workers and for all the communities in the country and in South Africa. I will now request the choir. Let's hear from the Unisa choir for them to render an item for us.
Asisose
Thank you for that round of applause for the choir. We really appreciate. And I will now invite our Vice Chancellor, our Principal, Professor Linkabula, to come and give us direction. Where are we going in 2025 and beyond? Thank you, Vice Chancellor.
I think I want to change. Thank you very much, program directors. Let me appreciate the work that you're doing. Professor Sikwe, Acting Vice Principal, Teaching and Learning. I think I'm told now. I'm sorry, I thought you could see me. You couldn't. I apologize. Let me take this opportunity to thank the program directors. But before I do so, may I request that we just have 15 minutes just to finish so that we don't go and finish our event well. May I also request our guests, I know many of them would like to go. I can promise that within 20 minutes we'll be done, and we request your indulgence. I thought I should start with those words. Let me thank program directors, Professor Sikwe, the Acting Vice Principal, Teaching and Learning, and Engage Scholarship from the University of South Africa, Professor Northover, Acting Chair of Department of Africans and Theory of Literature here at Unisa, and Dr. James, Deputy Director, Community Engagement and Outreach. And then our sign language colleagues, and I'm quite proud and appreciative of the work that you do in a country that has very few people trained in this important language that we should all know in order to mediate universal access for people living with disabilities. I'm very grateful to Ngobile Mtshwane and Nonhlanhla Ndaba for assisting in this important task. Let me recognize the chair of our esteemed Chancellor, the former President of the Republic of South Africa, who is very dedicated and committed to this university, having bequeathed his name, his assets, to be part of the university assets and library. And I think this is an important arena of our gratitude at any point in time when we gather together as Unisa community. Can I request a round of applause? Chairperson of Council, Dr. Musia, and members of Council who are here this morning, the Deputy Minister of Higher Education, Mr. B.K. Manamela, who's participating virtually and has also recorded a message to be shared with us, which will be in all social media platforms of the university. I want to acknowledge the presence of our diplomatic corps. Some of them have just had to step out. You know that South Africa will be hosting G20, and majority of them are entwined with that. Can I request for a round of applause for those who are present? Thank you. And those who are here, we truly are appreciative for the internationalization agenda that not only takes place outside South Africa, but also within South Africa through the diplomats and high commissioners that are located in our country. Let me also recognize the executive deans, MENCOM members, my colleagues. I recognize Professor Seputa, Ms. Nakene, Mr. Mtebele, Professor Meiwa, Professor Sikwe has already been appreciated, Dr. Molapo, Professor Mahanu. Did I leave anybody, colleagues? Oh no. Then that promise that I was going to make to the CODs and the directors about ding tonight or tomorrow would not happen. CFO, Mr. Stan Fleet, the CFO of the university, members of MEMCOM, can we give them a round of applause? Never have been, at any time that I've been at Unisa, have we had a convergent and coherent management committee as we do, and I think they deserve another round of applause. Let me acknowledge the executive deans of the colleges, their deputies and directors, the custodians and stewards of the academic project. Can I request a round of applause for them? And of course, in the support environments, the executive directors who are supportive of the academic program. Let me recognize especially our esteemed guests, understanding that all colleagues who have participated in the program, you are already heartily acknowledged and appreciated for the contributions you have made virtually, but also in person. I wish to acknowledge in particular the following guests of the University of South Africa in this opening. His Royal Highness, Dr. Kweketso Rakhudu, member of the Royal Bafokeng Nation and leader of the community of Tsitsing, who is here with us. And of course, what is a city without a university, or what is a university without a strong commitment of the city within which its coordinating campus is located? I'd like to thank the members of the Tshwane Mayoral Committee, Mr. Johan Metler, City Manager of the City of Tshwane, who spent a lot of time with us, even though he has a lot of work to attend to. Can I please request us to give him a round of applause? He's just stepped out, but I know that the mayoral team is still here. Let me recognize MMC, Mukhali, City of Tshwane, Mr. T.B. Shiranda, Director of the City, Mr. Zwalize Jansen van Rensbeck, Miss South Africa, Miss World South Africa, and I think she's an alumni of this university. Am I wrong? Okay, we will check. Professor, I don't want to confirm lest I'm cited wrongly in the papers, so I want for us to correct if we're wrong. Let me also recognize the Masood Vasusas from University of Shaoxing, AI and Data Science Department. Thank you very much, Professor Masood, for being here. I truly appreciate, because part of the work that your University of Shaoxing is doing is promoting what we at Unisa have identified as a catalytic niche area. They are known colleagues for artificial intelligence, machine learning, and data sciences, and therefore it's quite heartwarming that they are here with us. Can you give them another round of applause? And of course, colleagues, it's very important for us to recognize Dr. Ruth Pume, Director of Zallywood, Chair of Africa United Chamber of Commerce, Mrs. Dr. Sindiswa Mzamo, Executive Chair of Africa Investment Summit and President of Cycle of Global Business Women, Ms. Nolutando Mashulugu, Deputy Chair of the Innovation Hub South Africa, Dr. Amar Misum, CEO of Samtech JR Partner and International Park in China, Mr. Johan van der Heerwe, CEO of Sky Group. So you will be flying, colleagues. Sky Group, Unisa aviation colleagues will come out from that partnership. Can I please request you and Ms. Koleka Luana, the CEO of Lokshin Wi-Fi Business Development Director, can I please request you to give our esteemed guests from all business environments, so civil society environments, as well as government departments, a round of applause. I didn't hear you. Thank you. Colleagues, it's when we honor our partners that we also thrive together. Let me therefore, of course, thank you, the staff of this beautiful, august university that is at the center of the imagination and co-constructing the future. The students and alumni, you look beautiful, and let's share the love. Happy Valentine's. You sound like you're not loved. Let's try again. Happy Valentine's. I know that our first meditations also reminded us not to be overtaken by the Euro-America's ideas, but when they are beautiful, we must take them. And love, care, empathy are quite central to who we should be. Thank you very much. I want to start this talk, Chairperson of Council and members of Council, with a congratulatory message. This university has been able to produce or to be recognized for quality leaders in the support of the innovation system and the support of students in our country. Dr. Karen Stander from the College of Economic and Management Sciences has been appointed as the chairperson of the board of NEFSAS, National Student Financial Aid. She comes from amongst us. I also, Chairperson of Council, wish to state from the message of the Union that, yes, I concur with you, Unisa Yasebelet. I think we need a round of applause. I also concur that we should address the contradictions that are experienced within the university or outside in our society through science and not only through emotion. Because if we do so, we may rush and not implement constructively. So we hear you and we will engage as we often are open to engage. So I just needed to affirm and reaffirm that. The third affirmation that I would like to make is that when we ask for 4, for 3.9, for 3.8 and 3.7, and we don't ask what did we do for the institution and whether the evidence is available, it doesn't matter how much noise you make, it is the evidence that attests to your work that will make sure that that IPMS is recorded as such. Whether you yell or you do not yell, we will work together to do the right thing. So I thought it was important for me to reappraise you of this because we don't want to lie to you as the management of the university, but at all material times we must be prophetic, we must be ethical, we must be stewards of the academic agenda, and we must as well be stewards of the academic excellence. And if we were to show you the audits, some of you would be embarrassed because you might be charged for fraud. And therefore, it's very important for us, all of us, to be humble and to ensure that we account for the work that we have done and how it contributes to the success of the university. If I went without sharing this, I'd have been a hypocrite to you. And I don't want to be one. I want to reaffirm where fairness is needed, it must be applied, and where justice is needed, it must be followed through. And I will be the first to work with you where unfairness has been applied. And in this instance, I don't want to make promises that I know we will not implement. If you don't deserve a 4, you've been absconding from work, and you are saying you are the best that Unisa has when you've not, in digital systems, in physical systems, demonstrated your worth, we will not recognize the imagination of your worth. And yet, colleagues, I also want to say, for those who are invested in the university and its success, we will definitely lift you high. Let me make an example, colleagues. We have a colleague that has generated 61 million in 2024, who was scored 3.7. Professor Mudimo from the College of Economic and Management Sciences. He has generated from Wellcome Trust and other sources 60 million alone, not as a science collective. Can we give Professor Mudimo a round of applause? And therefore, it begs the question, colleagues, if you did not even bring 1% of the 60 million, why do you deserve a 4? I was just joking. Thank you. Chairperson, I'm now getting into the gist of our message. Khotong, I just need to know whether you're sleeping or not. Sanbonan, Absheni, Lochani, Macheloni, Kwemore, good morning. Salam alaikum. It is my privilege and honor once more to welcome you to all to the official opening of the 2025 academic year of the University of South Africa. It is the occasion of the official opening of the university, and the academic year is important in the calendar event of our university or any university. This is the occasion where we remind one another about the core business of the university and the priorities that will keep us focused on our vision to being African university, shaping futures in the service of humanity. It is also a moment where we ask the questions of how are we reading the signs of times, the challenges that societies are engaged with, that the global arena is engaged with, and where we ask the question, how might we, through science, through education, and through the tools that universities are invested in, be able to be co-constructors of the solutions that are required. And therefore, colleagues, we learn and do this persuaded by the words of our African intellectual, Eskiam Patlele, when he encourages us to know that Africa is intimately, even while we tune into the world at large, quite at the center of how we must imagine the future. On this auspicious occasion, I wish to convey a hearty welcome to students and academics who are joining Unisa for the first time in 2025. Can we give them a round of applause? Colleagues, can you give them a round of applause? They don't know the wages and the advocacy that you would have made over 17 years to get parity of remuneration between academicians and administrative staff. And I'm very appreciative that Council and the university would have done its best to ensure that the academic at Unisa is seen as the horizon and the platform and the community that must be rewarded optimally so that they help us to think, rethink, and address the questions of our society with dignity. I think this is an important transformation that we would have contributed to, that we deem as the most pivotal and important because it's a culture change to our university. Can I please request you to give our council and MENCOM an applause despite the backlash they would have received when they wanted to regrade or grade accordingly the academics at Unisa. Can I request you to give them a round of applause? And therefore, colleagues, we don't take for granted that this journey of 17 years has been accomplished, and therefore we will put all our hands on decks, all our hoes, all our tractors, and all our laboratories so that this university succeeds. It is my hope that you will find your academic journey fulfilling and exciting in the years ahead. To all of you, welcome to the University of the land of choice, and the university that is committed to being a partner to all progressive ideas, but also demands that our society are making. I also want to reaffirm the place of the administrative and professional staff and really thank them for being partners in ensuring that the academic at Unisa and the student create knowledge that produces the success that we are about to pursue as a university. Can you also give the professional and administrative staff a round of applause? Whilst I hear organized labor agitating for equity, I want to remind that the first corrective measures we took at this university were of the administrative staff. We found that the protection services staff, as well as security, had not been paid their salary in 2012, and these were corrected in 2023. So we have been very committed to both academics, administrative, and professional staff, and none of us must doubt that commitment. Program directors, the idea of what makes a university to be a university has changed over time and space. In the context of our continent, the changing nature of a university is shaped by various social forces which can be inter alia, political, economic, social, and cultural in nature. In colonial Africa, for example, and indeed in many other regions of the world, the university was less about the public good, but it was an elite pursuit that excluded many from higher education. In the period since independence of the continent, many ideas about a university and its identity have changed and continue to do so. Hence, in his book, The Transformation of Global Higher Education, 1945 to 2015, Paul Tshwane, the esteemed African intellectual, reminds us, before World War II, higher education, where it was available, was largely characterized by elitism and sexism insofar as it was primarily accessible to men from privileged backgrounds. I wish to repeat this. Before World War II, higher education, where it was available, was largely characterized by elitism and sexism insofar as it was primarily accessible to men from privileged backgrounds. This is true to our society too. Also, liberal arts education was prized over professional training, and public investment and state intervention remained relatively limited. All this was to change in the face of profound, complex, and contradictory transformations in national and global political economies wrought by the war and its unpredictable aftermath. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here engaging the idea of a university as a contested and ever-evolving entity to deliberately underscore the message about why we exist as a university, and particularly as the University of South Africa, whose mandate is to deliver the comprehensive open distance e-learning model for the continent and the world, and the first to do so. Whereas the models are important for location and operational purposes in the national innovation ecosystems of countries, the overriding and unifying logic is that a university exists to inform, question, and dialogue with society. It also exists to resource individuals as it is institutions in the public, private, civil society sectors. Our teaching and learning, research, and engaged scholarship are all what makes us socially relevant to the societies that we serve. It occasions no wonder, then, that Thandika Mkandawire has argued in the following, and I quote, "African intellectuals have been viscerally populist, not in the pejorative sense of the word, but rather in the sense that their moral reflexes have favored the weak. Not surprisingly, there has been a soul-searching about the link to society, meaning we cannot be a university if we are not also attentive to the wounds, the cries, and the calls for change and for transformation by the poor, the marginalized, those on the underside of history, those who are wounded." In his reflections, our own colleague in my office, Maimela, says, "For this context in our world, we must be asking the question, what has Unisa or its academics been saying when the world is at war with itself? When the universities are decimated in Gaza, in DRC Congo, and elsewhere in our world? Where have the voices of the intellectuals, those who research on how society must pursue cohesion, transform economic injustice, create ecological justice, and ensure that knowledge creates humanizing centers of being, ontologies that speak to the quality of knowledge and the innovations that are made?" And perhaps this is a call for us to ask the question, what are we doing in the changing world, in a changing world? We live in a rapidly changing world, a world of complex challenges, abundant opportunities. In this context, universities are called upon to partner with various role players to help reimagine and redefine a better South Africa, Africa, and the world. Today, more than ever, the world is desperate for knowledge and truth. The age of high tech, the pandemics, and the climate change, these serve as challenges and opportunities that higher education sector, universities such as Unisa, must fundamentally be engaged with. In terms of social relations and human development, challenges are abound. We know about the scourge of poverty, inequality, unemployment, crime, racism, sexism, and the divides within and between nations, gender-based violence, amongst others, challenges of which the Academy, as part of the national and global innovation systems, must contribute solutions toward. Musibudi Mangena, the former leader of AZAPO and the Minister of Education, of Science and Technology, under which this country innovated an EV car that was called Joule. I'm not sure if you know that this country and universities in this country were amongst the first to create EV cars. I can see you excited about importing them from elsewhere, but sometimes we must know our history and innovate and develop innovations if we are not to be dependent in the global economic systems. So Dr. Mangena rightly argues that we have to work to eradicate poverty and inequality. Otherwise, we can do nothing, and we have to make people believe in themselves, believe they can change their circumstances. And here at Unisa, we know you can. And when you're not able, we encourage you, like Singapore encourages economic success for its citizens. Sometimes you may resist, sometimes we may resist, but when we sit together, we then gain excellence and success. And I'm hopeful that this statement points to the entrepreneurial role that universities ought to play, especially in our context of pervasive youth unemployment, which is high. Statistics South Africa, I constantly remind you, reminds us that 4 million young people in the country of all shades are either have lost hope in looking for access to universities or have lost hope even in applying for jobs. And if we live in such a context, we must be asking the questions, what do we do with these individuals? Here at Unisa, over 1,200,000 students apply to be received in the different knowledge areas. We're only able to take 400,000, as agreed with the Department of Higher Education. The scientists at Unisa, what should we do with the 800 that are not, 800,000 that are not taken in by our university? Why are we sleeping on the job as scientists without looking for what we can do to assist them? I've had a great idea from one of MENCOM members in ICT who says, why can't our entrepreneurship system look into how we can create opportunities for the 800,000 that are not taken in, and create pathways to Unisa academic programs or to entrepreneurship? Perhaps Dr. Maschaba and Professor Mlauzi, you have a lot of work on your hand. Professor Mapoli and Professor Gantha, perhaps with the farm, you need to ask the questions, how can we be partners to solving those challenges? And perhaps all other deans who have cognate disciplines to these disciplines, how are you going to partner for multi, intra, and transdisciplinarity to address these issues? This is the question that I hope we will be pursuing as Unisa as part of balancing, producing just ideation, innovation, but practical praxis in the solution of these questions. Finally, the geopolitical tensions that we're witnessing today also require response in terms of the position of the university as a knowledge partner in society. It should not be easy for whole countries and their leaders to choose conflict, war, or even trade wars as means of settling disagreements and/or disputes. A more peaceful, just, and equal society is what we, each human being, irrespective of her, his, or their social location, race, geopolitics, and/or knowledge area, deserve. We deserve a thriving university. Ladies and gentlemen, as we begin 2025 academic year, Unisa is mindful of all these domestic, regional, and global issues that impact on our very existence. Luckily, We see these issues that propel us to change our attitudes and to see these as providing an opportunity that enables Unisa to remain relevant, competitive, impactful at a local and global scale. And likewise, I want to also take from the words of one of the pathfinders, one of the women who also made it possible for all women, whether as managers, deputy deans, deans of colleges, MENCOM members, or rectorate, as others say, or even deputy vice-chancellors or vice-chancellor, Mampele Rampele, the first woman vice-chancellor of the University of Cape Town. She says, if you change your attitude, you will change how you see the world and discover the potential it has simply through opening up your eyes to see it differently. And if you cannot see, simply through opening your heart, your cognitive and affective domains to understanding the world. I'd like to reiterate. The year 2025 constitutes the final year for our operational framing and the theme, Reclaiming Africa's Intellectual Futures. In the past 4 years, we've worked together with all our internal epistemic communities. We have achieved a lot, and we remain persuaded that we have the capacity to do more in this year and beyond as all Unisa epistemic communities. Can I request you to clap for yourselves? I also wish you can clap for the choir. I see a lot of improvement in the choir as we aim. And I want to thank you, choir, because it's not just our cognitive abilities, but it's also where you reach us when you sing. When you started in 2021, you sang like me. I don't know how to sing. And now I see that you can win competitions. Let's give them a congratulations. I can assure you, Chairperson of Council, and all members of Unisa epistemic communities, that the university will stay the course and build on the foundations that we have all, in the spirit of Lizima, laid thus by far. I want to also reassure you, Chairperson of Council, even if there are contestations, we will create opportunities for dialogue so that we find resolve to them. And therefore, never for you and Council to worry about the health, the cohesion, and the ideas or the direction of the university. We will all work together, and we promise this university will claim top 5 amongst the university within a short period, as we have done, claiming number 7 from 12 to 16, which is a great promise. And we can promise you, all of us in this hall, but those in the regions and everywhere else in their offices, we appreciate the collective collaboration for Unisa's success. We will strengthen Unisa together as a Cordell Plus University with the academic projects at the center of everything we do, so that the main cutting edge of teaching and learning, research, engaged scholarship, and student-centeredness are manifest. We will continue to find creative and prudent ways to be sustainable in resourcing the university in the context where the demand for higher education is increasing and the funding sources are declining. We will together ensure that we become a university of choice for students in South Africa and across the world by improving student experiences of Unisa students so that they become also quality alumni of this university. We will also improve the quality of student services and student support programs for for the success of our students. We will continue as academics, administrative and professional staff, and our management and all statutory committees to be pathfinders and innovators through our engaged scholarship programs so that our teaching, learning, research, innovation work touches society, people, and the environment in positive and impactful ways. We will strengthen the governance systems of our university to achieve better results and increase operational efficiencies and compliance. And I must say, without any fear or hesitation, to reaffirm that all our governance architecture, our governance processes, and the governance architecture of the university is intact. The agility is what we need to improve. We will continue to position Unisa as a digitally dynamic and technologically advanced education provider amongst its peers. We will finally continue to ensure that Unisa remains academically excellent as a trusted and recognizable brand locally and globally. We will ensure that the scientific agenda, the innovation agenda, the entrepreneurship agenda, the social justice agenda of our university find coherence, relevancy, recognition, and global impact. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the key priorities for our university. The entire university community is expected to rally behind them and to ensure that as a collective, we attain the results and, more importantly, make the requisite impact on our students, staff, and the broader society that we serve. Equally, we have 5 key projects that we are going to pursue, which we want to complete or to accomplish by 2026. The first is we've already secured the farm. As Professor Mapoli stated, we have 360 cows. If you're getting married soon, we can sell one for 20,000 for you because they are the special breed. They are called Unisa cow. Unisa cow. You need a round of applause. It's a pity that they've not showed you the cow, but if you follow my social media and dance also, you'll see the cows. I'll show them to you so that we don't just speak about them. The second is we are almost at the cusp of getting our hospital. At the cusp. I did not say we're getting it. At the cusp, you know, where you're praying as you walk, as you run, as you do everything, that this becomes a success. And we hopefully hope to share the good news with you next year and at a prudent cost. And that's what we are looking into. We are also looking into strengthening our aviation and aeronautic catalytic niche areas by expanding the horizons of training into that area, particularly looking into drone systems, but also the systems associated with that. And hopefully, when this year ends, Menakene, we will have over 100 academics, administrative, and professional staff trained in this, and at least half of them with licenses if they are committed, and therefore we will follow up on that. The same is true to the catalytic niche area on marine sciences and maritime studies. We will ensure that the professional qualifications are followed through and that CHE will have responded, and if that is not finalized, we will have to act because this is the agenda that has to be followed. The same is true to the commitment that the registrar will have made around the overhaul that we require for the registrar's domain to ensure quick agile support for the students, and where unethical conduct is found, to consequences act. We will not be intimidated, because this is an asset not only for us, not only for our next generation, our children, but it will be for your great-grandchildren and for the future. And therefore, each of us must commit to what they are employed for, so that we can gain success for the university. I wish to thank, finally, Chairperson, for the first time in public, the Council of the University of South Africa, as led by Dr. Dan Musia, our Chairperson, for entrusting us with the national asset for the next 5 years. Personally, I still consider it an honor and privilege to be given the opportunity to lead with you, management, as well as extended management, this university, to make contributions that will change the plight of our society through Unisa, to thank the students of the university and their commitment to pursuing education as an important resource for transforming their lives, and for the commitment that Unisa staff continues to share in the proposition for shaping Africa's futures. I may have been excited when you first announced that you would like to reappoint me for the next 5 years term. But I must tell you the truth, Chairperson of Council, members of Council, that when I reflected on the journey that has been traversed, when I reflected on the internal and external contradictions, when I reflected on the violence that I would have experienced and the fear that was supposed to have been felt by me, when I reflected on how others, how women would have been made to fear to taking responsibility for leading, I wondered if I was crazy, mad, irrational to take this invitation. When I thought about the 4 years, I really wondered, am I crazy to agree to continue co-constructing and leading Unisa? But upon meditation, reflections, and hearing the affirmations, and especially of the most marginal in our society, but also in the world, I want to reaffirm my commitment to working with Council, Institutional Forum, Senate, Convocation, Student Services Council, all statutory committees of the university to enhance the success of our university. I also want to commit to working, thank you. I also want to commit to working together with the management team that has demonstrated dedication to the success of this university, sometimes despite the insults, the derogation, and sometimes the nominalization of their integrity. That commitment has taught me that as a collective, we can work together to harness the assets of our society. I'd like to recommit that with the students of this university, with the academics, administrative, and professional staff, we will work together to make our society, our country, our government, the private sector, the public sector, and society in general proud that this university is strengthening itself to really being a real asset of our society in the global knowledge arena. I also want to reaffirm with the Department of Higher Education, the Department of Science and Technologies, the ministries that lead them, our Chancellor, our President, and all the ministers of our government that we at Unisa will constantly ensure that this asset does not fall, but is pivoted and propels the best that South Africa has to offer in the world. I look forward to yet another productive, fulfilling, and happy academic year for all of you and for all of us. Let us continue to reclaim Africa's intellectual futures. Let us humble ourselves before the Creator, who has given us talents, lives, commitments to be of service to our society. Welcome, enjoy 2025. We thought it was important to do so in the day of love, so that we love one another with grace, dignity, and commitment to this institution. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies, please be patient, we are almost done. Can we please take our seats? We are almost done with the program. Let me take the opportunity to thank the Vice-Chancellor for this address. Thank you, VC, for welcoming our guests and also including our workers, the students, academics of the university. You reminded us that Unisa iyasebeletwa. We have to demonstrate performance in order to be remunerated as such. And you also appreciated the Council for acknowledging the hard work done by academics, by remunerating them and trying to increase their levels. The administrators and support staff also have been acknowledged. All the injustices in terms of salaries of staff members of Unisa have been corrected. And you also reminded us to think about the role. What is the role of the university? That the university is there to produce knowledge, to contribute well-educated, quality human resources to the country and the world. And also, we are here to produce ideas, thinking, helping the country to think with us and to be able to do corrections where we are lacking. We really appreciate VC, and also you answered what we are doing as Unisa. That was actually more of a question. You asked us and you reminded us to introspect and say, what is the role of Unisa? And when we are here, what is it that we are doing here at Unisa, especially in this economic climate and the changing world, as we move forward in different directions in order to be acknowledged and recognized in the country and in the world. We really appreciate that. I will now request the choir to appreciate the VC, what she has really reminded us of, and I think a good song.
I thought before the third program director speaks, I should thank the colleagues from the regions that are here. If you felt you were not addressed or you felt you were forgotten, I just wanted to reaffirm before Council that we recognize the roles that the regions are doing, participating in person and virtually, and to extend our gratitude as well. Thank you.
Thank you to the choir for a beautiful and really awesome performance. There's nothing quite like a choir singing in unison, inspiring the audience. It's something very special. And on that note, I'd like to express a general appreciation, especially from the College of Human Sciences and School of Arts, for Professor Lenkabula's support of the arts, especially music. I've attended some of the VC concerts, and I would recommend it if you get a chance to attend. In fact, it's my pleasure to ask Professor Lenkabula to introduce the keynote speaker. It looks like the keynote speech will be in absentia, but Prof. Lenkabula will still introduce the speaker. The speaker is Mr. B.K. Manamela, Deputy Minister of Higher Education and Training.
Colleagues, thank you very much. We all know that this is the period where Cabinet is engaged in the budget processes and budget speeches. But we've been quite appreciative that Honorable Buti Manamela, Member of Parliament and the Deputy Minister of Higher Education, has agreed to give a message appointed by the Minister of Higher Education, Dr. Ngabane. I also want to remind us that the Deputy Minister is a leader of our country that is highly knowledgeable and esteemed in his work, not only in the TVET education, as an advocate and a champion for technical vocational education, but also as one who has studied through multiple universities, including acquiring a master's. I hope that the message that the Minister is going to share with us is going to be appreciated. He has also grown through the ranks of the student leadership, the student union system, as a member of SASCO, Students Association, as well as the Communist Party, an aligned member of the African National Congress, the longest liberation movement in the continent, but now part of the GNU. So I'm happy that we have agreed that as a university, we will post his speech. However, our colleagues will give us a clips of his speech so that we conclude and all of us are able to leave before time so that we can go back to our workstations. I'm just joking. Thank you very much. And therefore, Program Director, I appreciate the opportunity. You saw I was joking. Thank you.
So, as Prof. Lenkabula says, the keynote speaker is recorded and to be viewed on the screen. So, thank you for the introduction, and let's proceed.
Program Director Vice-Chancellor and Principal of Unisa, Professor Puleng Lenkabula, Chairperson of the Unisa Council, Dr. Dan Musia, members of the Executive Council, Executive Management of Unisa, staff and students, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to address you at the official opening of the academic year at the University of South Africa. We welcome today new students to this esteemed institution and reaffirm Unisa's vital role in shaping our nation's higher education landscape. Unisa is not merely a university, it is a national treasure, and as Africa's largest higher education institution with over 370,000 students, it has pioneered accessible education for 150 years. It has launched the most careers of the foremost leaders, entrepreneurs, legal minds, and scholars, many of whom have navigated rigorous path of distance education. Yet, Unisa, like all institutions, has faced trials, governance complexities, and administrative challenges have tested its resilience. However, history reminds us that great institutions are defined not by their struggles, but by their capacity to rise above them. The government remains committed to collaborating with Unisa's leadership to restore confidence through transparency, accountability, and stability. This moment demands renewal, a recommitment to the values that have centered Unisa's legacy as a beacon of African excellence. This year's theme, Reclaiming Africa's Intellectual Futures into the next 150 years and beyond, could not be more timely. Unisa has already emerged as a champion of African-centered knowledge through initiatives such as the Archie Mafeja Research Institution and the Thabo Mbeki African Leadership Institute and the Institute for African Renaissance Studies. These efforts exemplify Pan-African scholarship at the finest. In an era of rapid technological advancement and shifting global dynamics, African universities must lead. Unisa must continue to innovate in research, pedagogy, and its mission to center African epistemologies. To achieve this, we must firstly strengthen institutional governance and stability, embed ethical leadership to uphold Unisa's position as a continental leader. Secondly, we must advance African knowledge system, develop curricula rooted in African experiences, empowering graduates to lead across the continent. We have to also accelerate digital transformation, harness artificial intelligence, automation, and partnerships to revolutionize distance education. We must also prioritize student success and also assist students in the psychological challenges that they may be facing in our institutions. To our new students, we welcome you to Unisa community. For those new to distance learning, allow me to share a practical guidance as to what some of the challenges you will be faced with. Cultivate discipline, create a structured study plan and adhere to it. Master digital platform and familiarize yourself with my modules and my Unisa early on to avoid last-minute hurdles. We must resist procrastination, but we must also build connections to engage with peers through study groups and also balancing collaboration with focus. We have to anticipate connectivity challenges, download material in advance in order to mitigate whatever disruptions that we may face. And finally, seek support. Engage with the student support services in order to ensure that you remain connected and you get the support that the university can be able to provide you. As we embark on this academic year, let us unite in advancing excellence, transformation, and African scholarship. For 150 years, you have endured as a pillar of knowledge. With collective effort, it will illuminate Africa's path forward. To our students, your journey here is not just personal, it is a contribution to our continent's renaissance. Study diligently, engage critically, and own this journey. When challenges arise, remember, you stand on the shoulders of generations of Unisa graduates who triumphed against the odds. So will you. And thank you for listening.
The next piece, to save time, we will move straight on to the the vote of thanks and closure by Prof. M.M. Supporter, Acting Registrar of Unisa. Thank you.
Program Directors, Professor Northover, Dr. James, Professor Sikwe, thank you very much for having run this program so expertly and for guiding us to remain within the set time frames. I know we all managed to stick to our 3 minutes, Program Directors, and I'll follow suit. We also want to thank Ms. Mkhweni and Ms. Ndaba, sign language interpreters. We thank you for having accommodated us and making sure that we use all the 12 languages. We applaud you for your efficiency and for gently prodding our meditative state of mind, for inducing us in achieving deep calm of awareness of self, soul, and spirituality, and for carefully activating our senses toward the program was about to dish to us. I wish to express our deepest thanks to Dr. Gowe, Dr. Ahmed, and Professor Bentley. Dr. Msia, the Chairperson of Council, we thank you for welcoming us all. We thank you for your dedication. We know you just landed this morning and still you prioritized us. We are really appreciative for that. And we also thank you for setting the tone for the proceedings and for leading from the front. You surely demonstrated your commitment, and you surely indicated that you are visible. You surely indicated that you are interested, but above all, you are accessible, and your council is equally accessible to Unisa, and we appreciate that. The presence of so many council members here today speaks volumes about your leadership, Chair, and we appreciate that. I know that you gave us something to think about, and you also requested us to go out there as a community, as Unisans, to go and illuminate the world with knowledge and passion. And I can assure you, Chair, that Unisans are willing and looking forward to that trip, and they will do that. And as you requested, they will ensure that Unisa narrative is told, and it will be told. But Chair, you also indicated the main challenge that you are facing as a university, that of leakage of information. Let me assure you, Chair, that we are working right around the clock about that, and that Chair will definitely win the battle. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but I can assure you that we will win the battle. Professor Pulen-Lengabula, our Principal and Vice Chancellor, we thank you for delivering the official address, but we thank you that in your official address you re-emphasized your vision for this university in 2025 and beyond. But VC, you also re-energized us to hold in the name, reputation, and prestige of this beautiful university. VC, those of you who know you will understand that you normally don't massage the truth in ways that raise false hopes when sharing the real facts that obviously, or more often than not, bring the temporary internal turmoil that will awaken us to looming perils. We thank you for that, VC. We thank you for the questions and the work that you gave us. You asked us, VC, what do we do as a university during changing times? You asked us, what do we do with the 800,000 6,000 rejected students of this university. I think VC, in one way or another, what you are trying to say, you are saying to us, how are you as a university going to ensure that you fill all spaces in the 83 qualifications that are still available? I think we heard you, VC. We will work around that. And we heard you when you said we need to be a university of choice, we need to strengthen our student support, we need to strengthen our governance systems. I can assure you that VC, we are going to do just that. Your passion for the continued upliftment of Unisa cannot be faulted. And I'm certain that it inspires many of us to participate meaningfully and objectively in our attempt to reclaim Africa's intellectual future into the next 150 years and beyond. And above all, VC, let me acknowledge your attention-grabbing introduction of our keynote speaker. I know, Chair, I heard you. I'm a good listener. Let me thank Honorable Kudi-Manamela, our keynote speaker, Deputy Minister of Higher Education and Innovation, for delivering the keynote address. We thank you, Minister, that you remain open, you remain committed, and you remain supportive of our institution. And thank you for honoring the invitation. We know that you are attending to other competing engagements elsewhere, but we appreciate that. And it is during times like this when I'm often reminded of my Africanness that you don't speak after the leaders and elders shall have spoken. That is why I'm not speaking. I'm just thanking you. And this reminds me also of the African proverb that says a village without elders is like a well without water. We are grateful that you have got leaders here that are with us and leaders who are leaving us with difficult questions. Minister Manamela, Deputy Minister Manamela, indicated that Unisa is not a university but a national treasure. And he requested Unisa to lead. Deputy Minister, I can tell you that wherever you are, Unisa is willing to lead. Unisa is passionate. Unisa is capable. Unisa is not only expected, it has to, and Unisa will lead. That one I can assure you, Minister, wherever you are. Let me also thank our colleagues. Ndate Pomoy, even though we missed your speech, we thank you for having represented Nehau. Ndate Masakwana, we thank you, we heard you. Unisa. Advocate Morota, we thank you for representing the Black Forum. Professor K.R. Mpata, we thank you for representing Unisa Forum, and also to remind you that men are your children. We heard that. Professor M.D. Mahano, thank you for representing the Institutional Forum. President Mr. Mabilani, thank you for representing the National Student Representative Council. And President Date Tabambi, thank you for representing the Convocation. Thank you, Professor Mapoli, for representing Senate. I'll be failing in my duty if I do not acknowledge and appreciate the following distinguished guests and leaders who have joined us in this occasion: all members of Council, members of Diplomatic Corps who have come in their numbers, members of the Tshwane Mayoral Committee, our guests from Germany, Fern Universitas in Hagen, led by Professor Iva. And let me also thank Unisa management, executive management, and extended management, all directors, student leadership, all university staff members and students, Unisa Radio, for the excellent job that you always do. In thanking our own and beloved choir, which rendered beautiful pieces of musical interventions, and Atemulefe, maybe we need to talk. I can tell in confidence that some MENCOM members are willing to join your choir. We thank you for your performance, and that reminded us that important messages are carried both in speeches and in song. Acknowledging the other side today, and some would be disappointed if I did not, and being aware of the fact that we heard from many speakers that the top word is not today, It's not a men's conference, but Valentine's. I can only quote Shakespeare, if music be the fruit of love, play on. Thank you for everyone in the audience, our invited guests, our visitors, people who always show us love and give us support, all of you who are in ZK, Matthew, and those that are joining us virtually. To every single of you who participated, we are really grateful. And at this point, my sense of duty directs me to ask that we locate ourselves in the center of what needs to be done after having heard all the messages of support and wisdom this morning. We are privileged and proud to serve this national asset. May 2025 bring you all joy and success. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Sapota. I've been tasked with wishing everyone a successful 2025 and to encourage staff to register for the events loyalty app to earn points for supporting Unisa events. So we have come to the end of the program. So we will ask you to stand to sing the national anthem led by the Unisa choir. But first, before that, please stand. The VC has requested that we have a minute's silence for the soldiers who fell in the DRC. So let's bow our heads. Thank you. Before we sing, would you remain standing after the singing of the national anthem so that the procession can leave? And then thank you again for your patience. Thanks for coming and thanks for being here. Would the choir lead us? Would the procession please leave?